Welcome to the Influence and Inspire podcast, episode 17. And I'm delighted to say my guest today is Casey Elisha, founder of Casey Elisha Books. Hello, Casey.
Hi, thanks for having me.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Casey, first of all, you self-publish your books.
Yes.
So I think my first question is, how was that self-publishing process? I'm not sure if you know, I had Conscious Dreams Publishing on a few weeks ago, and she kind of helps people go through that self-publishing process. So
Okay.
from your point of view, how was your experience trying to self-publish?
I think self-publishing in itself is great. It allows you to have full control over everything you're trying to do, everything you're trying to put out. You don't have to wait for anyone to tell you yes or no. Like, you can do what you want. But at the same time, it can be very difficult in the sense of trying to push your book out more, trying to expand with your book. I guess trying to do things, you find you've got a lot more closed doors because people aren't always as receptive to people that have self-published as opposed to people that have gone through the traditional publishing route. So there has been some challenges, but overall I've still found it great because I can sell my books how I like. I can do what I like with my books. I don't have anyone telling me anything. I'm literally in full control. So I've appreciated that, and I've appreciated the process because you learn so much going through self-publishing about the whole entire process of putting out a book.
Yeah.
So even if I was to sign with someone at a later date or sign with a publisher or an agent to help expand further, I guess I would just appreciate the process a bit more because I understand obviously what they're doing to get my book out there.
Yeah. Okay, and Casey, when did you write your first book?
So Love Thy Fro came out December 6th, 2015. Yeah.
So tell me a bit about Love Thy Fro and why you wrote it.
So Love Thy Fro was completely random in the way it was put out because I didn't intentionally plan to put a book out. I kind of written this story sort of as a message to my younger self growing up because I didn't like my hair when I was growing up. So I thought, let me write this down. And I was talking to one of my friends about it, and I was like, I think I might put out a children's book at some point. And she was like, just do it. Just put it out there. You have nothing to lose. Just see what happens. So I decided to put it out. And I also wanted to kind of put it out as a message to, like I said, a message to my younger self, but also a message to other young girls. Because I just thought, I wouldn't want any other young girl. I wouldn't want any of my future daughters. I wouldn't want any of my nieces to feel the way I felt about my hair. So I thought it was just a nice message to put out there, that just promotes self-empowerment and self-worth and self-love, and just lets little girls know that they are everything and they are beautiful and they are loved. So I decided to put it out, and I thought, I'll do it as a small project, just do a little launch, sell the books, and that will be done. But at the launch, the book sold out. Everyone was loving it. It got coverage, and people wanted more. And people were like, where can I get a copy? Where can I get my own copy? And I was like, okay, let me print a bit more. So I printed a bit more. And then they sold out in pre-sales. And I was like, okay, I need to put some more out. And I realized that there was such a demand for it, and so many parents, because I'm not a parent myself. So I didn't really know much about children's books. But so many parents were like, we need more books like this. And I was hearing stories about how it was affecting people's children and how they were changing their perspective and stuff and on their own hair. So I was just like, I need to keep doing this. So, I continued.
No, that sounds really good. Sounds really good. So why was it so important for you to have like black characters in your books?
I think mainstream publishing is lacking when it comes to accurate representation of society in general. And I wanted to put black characters in my book so children, number one, could see characters that looked like them and see that they were represented in books, and also number two, so that other children that aren't necessarily black can see that, these other children are normal. Books don't have to just be white. We can have black characters, we can have Asian characters in a book, and it can still be for every single child out there.
Yeah.
And I find it interesting because I've done events and people have come up and said, okay, so are your books just for black children? And I'm like, well, no, because I have a book called My Mummy is Superwoman.
Yeah.
And I have a book called My Daddy Does, and they feature black characters, but the stories that they tell are universal stories that anyone can relate to.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just black children that have moms and dads. White children have moms and dads.
No,
Asian
exactly.
children have moms and dads. Everyone has a mum and a dad. So I wanted people to see that, you know, we can make books that look like us, but they can still be for everyone, and we can still educate everyone and just let everyone know that seeing these characters in books, you know, it's a reflection of real life.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was my thing.
Okay. So Casey, when you were growing up, were you a lover of books?
I did like books. I remember I used to like Jack and Wilson books a lot, mainly like primary school. That was when I would sit down and just read books or look at pictures and stuff.
Yeah.
I think with most children, as you get to secondary school, you realise that there's other things out there.
Yeah.
So I guess I lost my love for books a little bit, but I've always liked writing.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always been good at English and stuff like that.
So I suppose the question I want to ask is why children's books?
Because I think it's really important for children to learn to love books from a young age. I did a reading corner at Blue Anchor Library yesterday, and I was talking to a lady who had come in with her grandchildren, and she was just like, yeah, they love books.
Yeah.
And speaking to those children, they were so articulate and they were so bright. And I was like, wow, this is insane. Like, I was talking to a 3-year-old, and it was like I was talking to a 6-year-old.
Okay.
Another little girl came in who was 2, and it was like I was talking to a 5-year-old or even a 6-year-old. And I was like, how am I having these full-on conversations with these children? And I was like, you know, they're picking up books from early.
Yeah.
And you learn so much from books, you know? You learn so much about, you know, the topic of the book. You learn so much just reading and writing, and I think that's important. So I really wanted to kind of contribute to that, and obviously because I am trying to promote diversity and accurate representation, I guess you have to instill that in children from a young age, because that is when they are most impressionable. If you want a child to grow up and be empowered and you know, have a great sense of self-worth, you need to do that from when they're young, before they have all these external influences. So I felt that was extremely important to me, and that's why I've kind of focused on children's books. And one thing a lot of people will see is that I don't have any ebooks out at the moment, and many people have been like, you know, why don't you do that? Because obviously it's just the next natural step. But I think in this digital age where children have access to TVs and iPads and computers from a young age, and we're putting them on there like really early, I think it's important that they also have physical books, so that they don't become so stuck on, oh, mum, can I have your phone to do this? Or, oh, can I go on the computer to be entertained? No, pick up a book, you know? So I think that's really important, and that's why I haven't expanded into the ebook area just yet.
And I suppose when they go on that tablet or that phone, they probably get distracted with all the other stuff that's on there as well. So
exactly,
that's why physical books probably would be better.
Yeah.
I did have a conversation about kids reading books a while ago, and they said that boys are probably better with ebooks, because it's on a tablet, it's on a phone, so it might be easier for them. Have you experienced that at all with your books?
I couldn't really say that I have, or I can really tell, because obviously I don't have the ebook version to see what they prefer. But I think if you introduce a child to a book from a young age, regardless of if they're a boy or a girl, they're going to pay attention. You know, if the book is engaging, they're going to pick it up and they're going to look at the pictures. And if you want your child to become more in tune or to really appreciate books more, you just have to give them the books more and not default to giving them a phone or an iPad or putting them on the computer. So I think that's just what needs to be done, regardless of if it's a boy or a girl. And I think if we kind of have that mentality of, well, I'm going to give a girl a book, a physical book, and a boy an ebook, we're not really helping. You have to, you know, make your child really appreciate what's in front of them.
That's sound advice. Thank you, Casey. So you've got children's books. Have you ever thought, or will you in future start writing books for possibly teenagers?
It's definitely something that I want to branch into at some point. I need to setting up Casey Elisha Books is obviously taking a lot of my time trying to focus on the business aspect of it. So I need to get back into a zone where I can just be creative. But I do want to try and get into writing for slightly older children, and then potentially, writing for adults at some point. But I'm trying not to put any pressure on myself to do that. I'm trying to just go with the flow, and when inspiration comes, it comes.
Okay, sounds good. So it happens to be Black History Month this month.
Yes.
Yay. What have you been up to in Black History Month?
I haven't actually done that much Black History Month. I did Blue Anchor Library yesterday. So I took the Casey Elisha Books reading corner to their library. And what that reading corner is it's just a selection of diverse books for other children and parents to come and discover those books. So it's not just my books. I found that when I released my book, everyone was like, oh, we need more diverse books. Where can I find these books? And being a new author and not being a parent, I didn't know where to send these people. So I decided to just look myself and try and find all these books, and so I could kind of tell people. And I reached out to authors. I was like, send me a copy of your book when I'm going to events, or if I can go to a library, I'll take them and I'll let people know that your books are out there, and I will just give them a link to where they can buy it. Because I have not even my main thing, but I think it's really important that as an author, I don't restrict my audience to just my books, because I always say a child can't have just one book on their bookshelf. They need to have a variety. So if I can collaborate with another author, if I can promote other people's books, I always try to do that as well, because once they have my book, that's great, but it's like, okay, cool, how are you now going to build your child's library? So I felt that the reading corner was a really good way to do that. So I had that at Blue Anchor Library yesterday. I also did the UK Black Business Show, which was a really, really good event a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, right, okay.
And it was just a selection of Black businesses. And I did that with two other authors, Rachel Beckles and Lorraine O'Gara.
Okay, yeah.
And they also have diverse books. So we were there with our books, just selling those. And then this Sunday, the 29th, I will be doing a Black Girl Festival in Shoreditch. So we'll be up there selling our books as well.
Okay, yeah, that sounds really good. And how often do you have the reading corners?
So the reading corner is literally whenever someone contacts me and just says, we'd like you to come into a library. So I do it for libraries. I do it for, I could do it for events. I can do it anywhere, basically. People just have to contact me and ask me.
Okay, no, that sounds good. And so you've done a few over the school holidays, and I suppose it's easier to get kids along in the daytime over the school holidays. Yes,
half terms and holidays are always better.
All right, so a couple of your book titles are Daddy Does and This Mummy is a Superhero. Is that
My Mummy is Superwoman.
My Mummy is Superwoman and My Daddy Does. And looking on your website, it seems that you interview people who represent superwomen and good daddies. My Daddy Does. So so I read a few of those. Very interesting. So how difficult is it to choose these real mums and real dads to interview?
It's not that difficult at all. If I come across someone that I feel puts out a positive image and really balances entrepreneurship, being a hustler and being a parent, then I literally would just reach out and be like, can I interview you? Because I kind of just want to show other parents and other people out there that, you are a superwoman, or you are a daddy that does. And especially with My Daddy Does, it was really, really important for me to kind of show that there are Black father figures, or not even Black father figures, there are Black fathers out there putting in the work that they need to do. And I feel as though we as a community focus so much on absent fathers and things we can do to kind of fill that void or correct that, that we don't put any attention on those fathers that are present in their children's lives, whether they're living in the same household or not. And I was looking at some of my friends and I was like, my friends are out here and they have kids and they might not be with their kids' parents, but they're doing an amazing job. So why do people not recognize
Not
that?
celebrate that, exactly.
Yeah. So I felt like, I really kind of wanted to show that. So I decided to show that. And the first one I did for Dads was Mark McIver, who is a barber called Slider Cuts based in North London.
Yep.
And the reason I reached out to him was because I saw an image of him with he was cutting someone's hair in a barbershop, and he had his son on his, tied to his back. And I just thought that was such a powerful image, because that's what people usually associate with mums doing. And I was like, to see a man doing that and, just doing it normally and not feeling any way about it.
Yeah.
And just having his son in the barbershop. And I just felt that was really, really good and really, really inspiring for other people to see. So that's why I reached out to him. I was like, yeah, I would love to interview you. And I was really happy that he said yes.
Good.
But yeah, so, anyone that I just feel is motivational or inspiring or can inspire other people and just show that, it's not easy being Superwoman or being a daddy that does, but it's achievable and it can be done.
Yeah.
Then I'll reach out to them. But I wanted to try and get ordinary people so that we can show that, you don't necessarily have to be a big celebrity or anything like that to be considered a Superwoman or a daddy that does. So, yeah.
Okay, that's good. You also offer services such as writing biographies, press releases, amongst others.
Yes.
What's been the take? First of all, how do you advertise these services and what's been the take up so far?
I haven't really spent a lot of time really advertising them. I've just kind of their services I offer.
Yeah.
But I don't really put I haven't been putting too much effort into it simply because of time.
Yeah.
I guess. And obviously I have a couple of people in my team, but they don't necessarily have the time as well. So I haven't really made that my focus. My focus has been the books, but it is something that I'll do on the side because obviously I'm a writer, so I know how to write biographies and press releases and things like that. So I just felt, some people would come to me before and be like, oh, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? So I thought, you know what, let me just actually put this out as a service that people can come to me to get.
Okay. You also do transcriptions as well of interviews.
Yes.
So I might be knocking on your door soon. I need some of those done.
Definitely.
And this Sunday, so this interview's going to go out this week. So this Sunday, you're at Children's Authors Corner.
So we're at Black Girl Festival. I'll be there as part of the Children's Author Corner.
Okay.
So the Children's Author Corner is myself, Lorraine O'Garrow, who is the author of The Alphabet of Bella and Numbers with Bella. And we also work with Rachel Beckles, who is the author of The Butterfly Princesses. So we come together and we'll go to events and we'll just have all of our books there because we found that sometimes we go to events and we are the only author. And so it's obviously a limited experience for whoever comes, the attendee. So we're like, let's go together, and then people can have a selection of books to choose from.
Yeah.
So yes, we'll be there together this Sunday.
So, and where is that and what time?
It's taking place in Shoreditch. I don't know the exact address, which is really bad, but it is from, I think, 12 to 8. It's pretty much an all-day thing. We'll be there till about 5 o'clock, I believe.
All right, well, if you send me the address after the interview and I'll put it on the show notes, hopefully people will pick that up.
Brilliant.
I note your books are selling in Waterstones, Amazon, etc. How easy was it to get your books in these stores?
They're not actually selling there. With Waterstones, on the online site, I think when a book's registered, you have to register it with the Nielsen agency if it has an ISBN. So I think Waterstones pick up some books and then they will advertise them online. And if people buy it through them, they then bring an order, send an order through to me.
Okay.
And Amazon, I think they actually list any book that has an ISBN, but I don't actually sell through them. I found it quite difficult trying to get into those kind of stores. It's really difficult. I find with Amazon itself, I don't sell with them because of costings. They take quite a high percentage. And whenever people come to me for advice about publishing, I always let them know, you have to really consider if you want to sell with Amazon because of profit margins. And being self-published, obviously you have to take that into consideration. And then with other bookstores like Waterstones and stuff like that, it is quite difficult. They tend to want to the process itself seems to be quite long, and then they tend to want to place orders, and if they can't sell those orders, they then want to be able to return the books to you. And as a self-publisher, you always have to consider, if I'm printing 100 books to send to them, and then they decide to return those 100 books, that's then 100 books that I need to try and
move
sell
elsewhere.
On top. So it can be quite difficult. But yeah, so I mean, it's something I'm still trying to battle. But yeah, it's not the easiest.
Okay. What other advice would you have any of the listeners who are thinking about writing a book?
Whenever anyone comes to me and asks me about writing a book, my first thing is just write. A lot of people come and ask for advice, but they haven't started writing or they haven't finished it. And I'm like, the main thing you need to do is write. Just make sure you have your product. Once you get that, you just need to think about the logical steps that would go into putting out a book. So finding a printer, finding an illustrator if it's a picture book, looking at other people's products, looking at the pricing, how do you want to sell it? Where do you want to sell it? Who's your target audience? I always say to people, get feedback as well, because it's so easy to put out a book. But when I'm 26 years old, so writing a book from my perspective, a 5-year-old might not like it. So I always contact parents that have children that age and say, can you read this to them? What's their reaction? What do they think of these reference images? I think feedback is so important. But essentially, number one, get your product.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And you always test the market as well, which is very important.
Yes.
Okay, so if we want to get one of your books, Casey, where's the best place to get them?
So my books are available from my website, CaseyElishaBooks.com. That's the best place to get them, direct from me.
Okay. And what's your social media if anyone wants to get in contact?
My social media, Twitter and Instagram, it's at C Elisha Books on both platforms.
On both platforms. Excellent. That's nice and simple.
Yes.
All right, Casey, thanks for your time today. It's been great interviewing you and it's been enlightening. And it's good to see that you're so young and you're so positive and you're doing your thing.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
So well done. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.